This episode is brought to you by Catch-22s. You can stay young forever, but at what cost? Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling, geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host who is across the pond. It's our resident, better version of yourself, DL2. How are you, DL?
I've been better.
Well, if you're on the original version.
Yeah, I've been better.
How are you? Tell me about you.
Feeling like a bit drained. Like I've been burning the metaphysical candle at both ends.
Midnight oil, as some might say.
Yeah, like my life source is low. Like, you know, like in a video game when you're like, it's like blinking red and you're like, uh-oh, better get out of here.
Whenever someone says something like that, all I can think of is that Sonic level. Did you ever play Sonic back on the old... What would you?
Yeah, my rings are everywhere.
Master System.
Dude. Like,
you know when he's in the underwater level, it's like that. Ba-da, ba-da. I'm like, that gets me every time. It gives me heart palpitations.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Heart palpitations.
That's where you're at right now. Okay, I thought you were going to go with something relevant to the movie we're talking about today, The Substance. Like, you know, you've had all of your life substance drained out of you by your clone.
My life's that's a great point. I'm feeling like the fucking gremlin at the end of the fucking movie. I am feeling much like that. I don't think I quite look that yet, but like we're getting there. It's only on the feet right now.
I haven't seen your hands yet.
Yeah, exactly.
They've not quite come on. Don't give that away. Save that for your OnlyFans page.
True. There's a kink for everyone.
Yeah, and it's DL's hands. How was the bachelor party, buddy?
Oh, it was good fun. It was good fun. It was more just like the entire lead up, dude. I went to Nashville for work in our sales kickoff, and that was fun. There's a week in Nashville though, and I stayed the weekend with my dad. We ate a lot of hot chicken. My stomach was very much over hot chicken. I had many a hot chicken
in Nashville.
Yeah, it's kind of famous for that.
I wasn't sure your dad was down there. That's fun.
Oh no, yeah, he met me halfway. So it was like after the company kickoff, I was like, had a couple big nights of the week. I kept it pretty tame comparatively.
DL comparative.
No, well, I don't know. If you've ever been to like sales kickoff or a company, you know how people get after it sometimes.
Of course.
I've been pretty good.
I used to work for a massive tech company, and we had our sales kickoff many years ago now. And they actually had Justin Timberlake playing at the sales kickoff. It was wild.
I had Jimmy Eat World one.
That's Jimmy World's great. I'd way prefer Jimmy World to Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake's a better show, surely. But I agree.
Yeah, he looked a bit like you do today. He looked tired. You could tell he'd had a hard tour.
Yeah. So I then went into a week in Miami and a bachelor party. And, I came back with like boatloads of work after 2 weeks off and just...
Standard.
I'm just a shell. So that's where I'm at. I'm perished.
So I'm calling you Michelle today. Is that where you are?
I am. Yes, call me Michelle. How are you?
Mate, I'm good. It's Mardi Gras here today, so we are staying in because it is hard to get anywhere on Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is fun. I mean, it is fun when you're maybe 10 years younger than we are. But you know this. I met my beautiful fiance at Mardi Gras. So I mean, for me, it's a mixed bag. Like, obviously, it's a lot happening all at once. I've got so many stories on Instagram going on right now of friends who have been probably drinking for a good 8 hours by now. But yeah, there's that special place. It's just a little special place. She totally forgot, by the way. She didn't buy me a card. Classic partner. She bought me a Valentine's card and then forgot about our anniversary. So.
Honestly, it's better than like you being the one who forgets and them always remembering, which is what I have to deal with.
Well, I always put it on my phone, so I've got a annual reminder to be like, buy a goddamn card, you idiot. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah.
What? I'll do that now. I'll learn from the best.
That's a good idea, right? I do that for anything that's actually necessary or reasonable. Yeah, mate, good to see it. It does feel like a little while. It's been like 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while. 3 weeks for sure. Yeah, it has.
Blows by. Oh yeah, of course, because we had a week off last week. That's why. But it feels like forever. I miss you. I miss your musk when I don't get to talk to you, DL. I get the cravings.
I'm sure the musk translates through the screen, but
it certainly doesn't.
I hope not.
I'm excited to talk about the substance today, but I do have to ask you before we start talking about things, before we talk about other things pre-substance. Would you take the substance?
Absolutely not. I can't handle needles.
I mean, it's a big needle in this.
And my spine. No, there's just like that. This was like from the get-go a hard premise for me to get on top of. I was
There's
like,
a lot happening.
I was like, I just like don't care enough. Like, I'm not vain enough to jack this in my fucking back, dude. There's like Netflix. I'm gonna age with Netflix. Like, there's too much at stake for if it goes wrong.
I'm going to age with social medias. I've got to my limit right now, and as soon as the next one comes out, I'm going to be old because I'm like, I'm not even on TikTok. Can't do it. Won't do it.
Well, then you're already old. You've
exactly. I'm already that age.
But there's a battle going on. Maybe it won't exist. That kind of thing. So
yeah, nonsense. Of course it will. It'll all be in your eye.
In America, I mean, in the Western world.
Of course it will. They'll just get some stakes in it, and they'll be very happy. Who cares, guys? If you want to stick around, and listen to us talk about TikTok and our weeks, please do. There will be time codes in the description. It's always supplied by Mr. Matthew Bliss of mbpod.com. Why are you down there? You want to give us a 5-star review? That'd be wonderful. We appreciate you for doing that. Yeah. DL's just been in the US taking people's phones and giving us 5 stars on their phones. We must have gone up by at least 1 at this point. So that's what matters.
You'd hope, yeah.
If you could, guys, it would really help with algorithms, things we don't really understand over here. But DL, what have you been up to, buddy?
I guess I've been, minus all the traveling, I've watched a few things. What did I watch?
You? What have you been watching?
Well, I obviously watched the last 2 episodes of Severance. I haven't seen the latest one.
Ooh, we haven't seen the latest one either.
Are we on 7 or 6? I've watched
think
up to
7
5.
just came out. Okay, I think 7 just came out.
5. So the last episode I saw was the post Irving, I guess, dying.
Oh, wait. So is that the one where he comes back for the very beginning? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the funeral, and then there's
how creepy was the funeral, by the way?
It's pretty funny, actually.
It's like super weird, but like also kind of cutesy
and like touching. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this whole show is that. It's kind of weird, but kind of cutesy.
It has like a very unique tone that they've kind of
totally. They have.
I don't know,
they've been consistent with it. I don't know how they've managed to keep it that way, but they've done good.
Yeah, well, there's only been 2 seasons, so it's kind of like you'd think it'd be like harder, but it's only been like literally 14 episodes or something. Like it feels like it's been around for so much longer than that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll look at the likes of I don't know, bloody Westworld. They attempted to keep the same tone and failed massively.
I don't know if they did attempt to. By the end, it was such a different show. Like I don't know if that's what
I just mean 1 to
for.
2. Yeah. I just mean 1 to 2.
Yeah, no, they've done better than Westworld for sure.
Yes,
in that sense.
Is that our new rating system? Is this better than the transition from season 1 to season 2 of Westworld?
Yeah. Well, it was more season 2 to season 3 was like the mega change.
Yeah,
right?
that's actually fair.
But season 2 is just like a worse version of season 1. Like
whichever season brought in the guy from Breaking Bad for me was just downhill.
That was like 3 or 4, I think.
I'm not in this guy. He's bad.
You don't like him
in Westworld. Love him in Breaking Bad, although I didn't finish that show.
Well, what else has he been in? He's been in literally Westworld and Breaking Bad.
I think he's been in a couple of movies I've seen. That's a really good question, but that was
not much.
I didn't believe him in that show in the slightest. But talk to me more about Severance. What are your big theories? Where are you at?
Well, I think we were all we were all in agreement that what's her name was a spy.
Yes,
weren't we?
It was so obvious.
Yeah, they were
the whole internet was.
I was watching the thing, and they're like, "Oh, you're not gonna I was like, "Come on, guys!" It's literally an inversion of the last season. Where it's clearly where you're going. That doesn't make it any worse. It was quite good. I think they could have been a bit more subtle with it. Night Gardener was quite funny because it was severance-y, but also heavily revealing.
I did wonder though. I wondered if it was a bit too obvious. I was like, maybe it's one of the other ones, and I feel like they're trying to do that with.
You did say that.
Who's the other one? Why do I keep Dylan? Dylan's the one I always forget. I wonder if the Dylan's going to be the new spy because of all the privileges he has.
They can't use that again.
Wife.
It would be tacky.
But he's got he's kind of date. I don't know. He's kissing his outie wife. That's got to be for something.
I think it's more interesting to explore as a dynamic than it is to be a twist.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely an interesting point. So you've got 2 to catch up on then. That's going to be a fun afternoon.
Yeah, my theories as of now are that clearly Audi Irv is some kind of ex-military spot. Like he's wild. Like that guy is like not a normal dude. And I wonder, they're implying that he's in contact with Cobell, or what's her name? Ragabi?
I have no idea who that is.
The one that's like reintegrating Mark.
Oh, yeah, Irving's in contact with her.
Irving keeps calling somebody, and we don't know who it is. And my thought process is it might actually be Cobell. Like they're having us think that it's what's her name, Ragabi, and it might be Cobell, because that's the biggest.
That's interesting.
The biggest thing we don't know is like, what is Cobell's like motivation? Like she clearly.
Where has she been?
Yeah, I miss her. I miss those judging eyes.
She's good though.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's like adds a ton of value.
She reminds me of my dominatrix.
Yeah, exactly. Just like very disappointed in you all the time.
All the time. Constantly disappointed.
But yeah, I'm excited to see where that goes. I think that there's clearly something that she's interested in understanding about Severance and Lumen for her own personal gain and like closure. What is that? We don't know. And how much does that weigh on her mission to cure? We don't know. So it's exciting.
I don't want to say anything because I'm one episode ahead of you right now, but it is. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to tell you anything to say that she's not in the next episode, but it is missing her a little bit. But I do love old mate Seth, who's really stepped up. Seth Milkshake, I think we'll call him from now on.
Milkshake is great, dude.
What an epic character arc he's going on. He's just like...
I just don't understand him, though. That's the one thing. Like, he's completely loyal to the company. I hope at some point we understand why.
Oh, well, there's the next episode you've got to watch is an interesting one. I wonder how far his loyalty goes. But then everyone who isn't an outie seems to be anyone who doesn't have an in and outie who works for the company seem to be like almost religiously loyal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's wild.
It feels like it's almost like some
cult.
post World War II like alternate history thing or something.
Totally. Totally.
Or World
it's good
War,
time
Civil
that this
War.
is back. It's good time this is back because Yellow Jackets is back as well. We watched the first episode of that the other night. That's a good fun show.
I'm not as excited about that one.
There's 3 episodes out already. And we watched the first episode, and it didn't fill me with confidence.
Yeah, it felt like last season they kind of just like fumbled the bag at the end.
Yeah, jumped the shark a little bit. I think so too.
I don't know. It just like they stumbled to the end.
Yeah, the whole thing about the dude who found out, like the dude who found the diaries, who the main character was kind of hooking up with. That whole thing for me was like, why do we need this?
I honestly, the thing they've lost me on is the present time storyline is just like,
that's what I mean. Sorry, that was what I was
it's just
talking
meandering
about.
And useless. Like it adds nothing now. And and the climax was like really fucking bad in that. The actors are good, but the plot was just like terrible. So now I'm just like, I don't really care about that plot, which is like kind of important because you kind of need to know where it's like it needs to be leading the everything else informs that. So it's like if that's meandering, right? You're kind of like meh.
Well, I was saying it's lost one of its main personalities as well, like the one who's the drug addict.
Yeah, she was a big part of it. Yeah,
she was epic. She was the best,
and it made no sense why they killed her. I was just like, why are you guys doing this?
Yeah, you're ruining one of the best characters. Come on, guys.
Just stop. Like just stop.
I tell you, we watched the second. I'm gonna say in quotation marks the second season of Squid Game as well. Have you seen that yet?
I did see that. Yeah.
Can we say that it's half a season? Because it's definitely not a full season.
Well, there's another. It's coming back in July or something.
I know, bullshit, bullshit. It should have all dropped at once. I was a little disappointed, but not. I didn't expect a lot out of it.
I still enjoyed it, but it was not as good. But like clearly wouldn't be. Does that make sense? Like I don't know. It was never going to be as good as Squid Games 1 because that was just such a wild concept. It's one of those things like how do you redo? Like Severance has done a pretty good job of it.
How do you keep the magic?
How do you keep the magic when it's kind of like a surprise show? Like it's a bit like a mystery box show. Like, oh, what is this thing? Oh, it's a game. Okay, now where's it going? We know where it goes. We saw it happen all last season. So
well, I mean the theories now are that Old Mate's going to become he's going to become the new leader or whatever.
I mean, like makes sense, but do I believe it? And that's where they would go. It's like, how do you get the audience to justify this enough that they they can understand why the main guy that would hate it turns into the main bad guy. Like, I just don't know
how do you do that.
Yeah,
how do you do it?
It's a hard task.
Could be a bait and switch again. Could be him saying he's going to do that and then absolutely not doing that.
It's a very good aspirational, writing goal, but I just think it's really hard to do. Like, that's pretty manic to just like kill a bunch of really like basically fucking what's the word I'm looking for? At risk people, like people that are just like kind of like down on their luck. Like, I don't know. It's a bit
interesting,
but it was fun to watch.
It's interesting. I was actually talking to a friend of the show, Craig, somewhat recently. He's one of my close friends from back home, chatting away about like writing books. He's always wanted to write a book as well. His mum's actually just written a book. He's helping her edit it. And we were talking about just like the random ideas you have for books. And one of mine that I've always wanted to do, and I'm probably giving this away way too early, but who knows?
Still got to write it, dude. Yeah.
I've always wanted to write a book where you follow a character and you fall in love with the character and he becomes like the heart and soul of the book. And it's like everything he's doing is towards this goal. And the last page of the book, it turns out he's actually the bad guy and the bad guys have won. I would love to be able to write that story and build, someone that people are in love with. But then they have to go back and reread the book and figure out where he was doing all this evil shit and being like, oh no, that thing we thought was like a great battle or a great victory was actually him decimating a bunch of people. You know what I mean? I just think that would be super fascinating.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like, it would be interesting to pull off, but I'm like of a mind where when you get to the last page of a book, if something drastically changes that you haven't been expecting, then it's like kind of cheapens the like whole journey. If that makes sense. Like, it's like the bait and switch. I don't love that when that happens. And like, I don't know if you've watched, what was it? The Apple TV show with Jake Gyllenhaal in the...
No, I haven't seen that one. Is it...
I forget what it's called.
Yes, I forgot to. Google it.
Yeah. It's something with a P, I think.
People anyway, screaming at us. Person of interest. I don't know.
No. It's like a lawfare case. It's like a criminal drama, like where they're both lawyers. And there's just at the end, there's kind of a bait and switch where I'm like, oh, like it's like, the last Horcrux is Harry's head. Like it just kind of feels a bit like, you just
Harry's a Horcrux?
Threw this all in.
Presumed innocent. That's what it is.
Presumed innocent. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I didn't love that, but
I tell you, anyway. I think the reason why it could work in that sort of format is because if it's about, like big battles and victories, no matter what the setting, like the winner always writes the history book, So it's almost like I know it's a bait and switch and it's probably a little bit cheap, but then at the same time, like if you're reading it from his perspective, this person might think that they are in the right. You know what I mean? Like the bad guy never thinks he's wrong.
Yeah. No, they kind of did that in what's the book we just read? Or we were just talked about? The
Will of the Many?
Mistborn.
Oh, I hated that book.
Yeah, but I don't mean. They did that. The guy was like the whole time you're like, oh, this is gonna be the Lord Ruler, and then it like wasn't. It was the guy next to him, the Sherpa.
Yeah, I mean, spoilers for that book.
I don't even know if you can figure. I don't know if you can even figure that out from what I just talked about. like I don't think I actually spoiled anything. But you know what I mean. You
spoil it for people who know exactly what you're talking about, so you're not really spoiling it. But yeah.
But I do spoilers to this point. I do think the Lord Ruler. I think like if you continue down that series, there's more to what he was doing than you obviously realize. Like he was obviously.
Oh really?
I think that he was protecting them from something by becoming so draconian, and we just don't
Probably
know
the
what that is.
Or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know what that is yet.
I forgot to ask, man. Do you recommend? Of course, you recommend Severance. Like we talked about first. What else were you talking about? You talked about something else a minute ago.
We talked about Presumed Innocent, which I guess I recommend a bit. We talked about. Didn't you see something?
I don't know if I'd recommend Squid Game at this point. I felt
Squid Game 2
is a ton of treading water.
It's still entertaining though. Like if you liked the first one.
Yeah,
you will like the second.
Yeah,
you will get frustrated as well, though.
Fine.
I was so frustrated. I was like, guys, just like get out, get out. There's just like no way.
The bit when old mate's in the car and it's just like, do you want to come back to the Squid Game? And he's like, well, I guess I'll have to come back to the Squid Game. I was like,
this is such a bad idea. This is not actually like what you should do.
Right.
That's the part. It's just like less believable that he would do. It was hard to believe
any of it
at certain times. Yeah,
the tracking devices, tooth, and all that stuff. I was like, that's never gonna fly. Come on, these guys are at least a little intelligent. Have you been up to anything else?
I've been reading The Way of Kings again, which is the Bryan Sanderson's first book of
nice.
the Stormlight Archive. Again, like the more I read Bryan,
Is that how you say archive?
Archive? Yeah. Whatever.
We have real pernickety listeners who will pick up on that immediately.
I love to tweak them. Come listen to me. Butcher words.
I did. We were on a week or so ago, and friend of the show Kyle literally called me out over message. Was like, "You fucked that up," and I was like, "I know I did. I was hungover, and the minute I said it, I knew I'd messed up, but I didn't want to go backwards because you were already talking. I can't remember, but it was great. I was like, guys, call us out. We love it when you do. At Podcast Level on Instagram, throw that shit at us. We love
Daro. I love a little Daro. Kyle. What else, dude? I definitely. Oh yeah,
talk to you about Stormlight.
We talked about it last time. The more I read Sanderson, like I respect him, but also I don't think he's just, to me, he's just like steps below other writers. It's just like too high fantasy. Whereas like other like fantasy writers I like kind of transcend the genre a bit, and that's what I'm looking for when I read fantasy. I don't want like the super, like the whole magic system explained to me. Like I just don't really care about that as much. It takes me out of like reality.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you're reading Sanderson, you're like, I know I'm reading fantasy, but you want to be more like, and you want to be so engaged that you don't think about it being fantasy.
Yes, and there's just like not enough. It's just too Mormon for me. I think that's what if I could boil it down. That's what it is. It's just too Mormon.
Is he
like
Mormon?
There's no sex. There's no blood. There's like barely like it's just like very Disney.
Well, maybe Disney are going to try and make it at some point.
And then there's like, you want like character, like there's just like multiple times where I've like wanted him to make a really, really hard choice and he doesn't make it. Like he doesn't make the choice that, Pierce Brown or George R. R. Martin would make. Like he makes a different choice that like lets his characters kind of keep going in this like, happy little world. Like I want them to make hard choices and you haven't read it, so I can't tell you about like a couple moments where I would have made something like where I wish he would have done something different. But,
yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, he does kill like one of the main characters in the Mistborn books, like pretty early on.
Which one is that?
Like the only good one, the one I actually liked.
Kelsier? You mean in the climax of the first book?
No, that's like 2/3 of the way through the first book.
It's the climax.
It's nowhere near the climax. It's
literally the battle before and then they all regroup and then attack the main thing and then the book ends. So
there's like 1/3 of the book left.
I mean, it's a big book.
She moans for a long time after that. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sad."
Yeah, but like that's fair. But I mean,
doesn't replicate. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that was kind of, you could see that coming. That wasn't surprising. Like that's the traditional. That was her like Dumbledore moment. Because like the whole book, he's just acting a fool. Like you are gonna die. Like you be crazy, bro.
Stop fucking around.
Yeah, like you're just getting yourself into situations, dude.
I did love I'm loving his YouTube videos where it's his lectures. It's quite interesting though as well. The bit about you saying about like not enjoying how he like explains the whole magic system. Like that's one of his core rules. He's like, you've got to be able to explain the magic system.
I haven't gotten to that part, but I think I just like have a fundamental. It might be just taste. It might be a different taste
for sure.
Because some people love that. I personally like the mystique of like not entirely knowing, like because that's the point. It's unknowable. It's not science. It's like mystical magic, and it's like there should be hints at like that there should be a cost. Like that kind of stuff to that, like having a cheat code. And I love that about like Game of Thrones, where it's like, the magic is tied to like blood sacrifice and like,
yeah, for sure.
And like, you never actually know how it's going to work out. Like it might be beneficial. It might not. And he does a bit of that in the Stormlight Archive.
Archive.
Archiva. Archivi. And I love when he goes there. But when when he has to like explain to me the different lashings, I'm just like, meh.
Okay. Do you recommend it?
Yeah, I still recommend it. Stormlight is pretty, like, it has more character work and like cool stuff than it does that.
Has he learned how to write women yet?
I think he improves with Shallan, which is the main point of view character. And there's another character that's really cool that he's written that like named Jasna that's like pretty badass. So yeah, he definitely improved.
So he's getting better. Okay, he's getting better. All right. Well, we watched a Netflix thing. I actually wanted to tell you about this the other week, but we ran out of time. We watched. I'm really into spy thriller style espionage TV shows, and there was one on Netflix. Yeah. Did you watch Black Doves? Did you see that?
No, I need to watch some of these. I kind of want to get into a spy thriller book, but I just can't find any that aren't just like Tom Clancy.
There's some really good spy thriller TV shows at the moment. We're watching a couple actually, but one I'll tell you about a few of them over in subsequent weeks. But the Black Doves one starts really strong, like really strong start. Like the premise is really interesting. It's really cool. Keira Knightley's awesome in it, by the way. Keira Knightley, slept on. I think she's awesome. She's a little older. She plays
She's
like
still quite pretty though.
I mean, yeah, she's gorgeous. Although she's always had that weird mouth thing that I can't put my finger on why her mouth looks weird, but it does.
Mm.
Next time you look at it, you'll see it. Yeah, they do the thing that Gangs of London did, and I mentioned to someone the other day. I feel like they got to the end of the show and they were like, "Oh, you might get a second season for this," so they rushed some extra plot points into the end of the show that didn't necessarily mesh with the rest of the themes. And I was like, it's good and like it's a strong show, strong season, but the ending for me just was a bit all over the place.
Fair. I think that happens in modern
totally
shows where you're like not sure if you're going to get canceled till it's like the very end. Sometimes they do it like way after. Sometimes they do it like when it's like being released. So it's like,
especially with Netflix.
Yeah.
And Netflix is a bitch for that. But I'd watch it. I would definitely go away and watch it. It's worth checking.
What about that one you were talking about, Slow Horses or something? I saw a preview of that.
I was gonna tell you about that in subsequent weeks. We watched so it's 4 seasons. I thought it was only 2, but it's 4 seasons.
So it already has Slow Horses. Four seasons.
We burned through 2 seasons already. It is so good, man. If you're into spy espionage thriller stuff, it's Gary Oldman, by the way. Again, I'm gonna say the joke one more time. The one name you should not miss the R out of when you're when you're Googling his name.
Gay old man.
Especially on a work device, just saying. So good in it. Like, friend of the show, Chris, thank you so much for the recommendation. Like, absolutely top tier. Probably the best spy thriller espionage thing I've seen in a long time.
I've heard about it, but I just never, for whatever reason, watched it. I think I've been sleeping on Apple TV.
Man, it's the bomb. Get in there. I keep finding things and going, oh shit, I want to watch that. I'll tell you more about Slow Horse in subsequent weeks. I'll probably come back to tell you about the first season a little bit, because that first season it's up there, man. I'm not quite saying it's about Rushmore. It's not quite there because I feel like it's too low key to be about Rushmore. Like, it doesn't have like a big like punch in the face, punch in the gut moment, but it's very good. Very good. Guys, like friend of the show, Chris, if there's anything you recommend we talk about at any point, hit us up. You can find us at Podcast Symbol on Instagram or thepodcastsymbol@gmail.com. Send us memes, send us news, send us reviews. Things we love. It's getting late here. I would sing to you, but I won't this week. TL, do you want to preface our main topic?
It's the main topic theme.
Yeah, this week we are doing what we call the substance. I think it actually was like nominated for some stuff.
Sir.
I'm actually going to look it up as I go.
5 Oscars.
5 Oscars. I'm sure all in the like prosthetics and that kind of stuff. I
think it's got a Best Actress nod as well.
Demi Moore might have gotten something as well too. I would assume.
I feel like that as well.
Written and directed by, I'm going to butcher her name, Coralie Fargeet. Fajit?
Yeah, French director known for Reality Plus, which I've never actually watched. Is actually pretty good.
That makes sense. Starring,
say it again to me, big boy. Say it again to me.
Coralie Fargeet.
Man, I've missed those dulcet tones.
Yeah, Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, I don't know, Dennis Quaid are like the main leads.
Let's talk about it. Do you have a super plot summary?
It's not great.
Okay.
Where is it?
I got a quick one if you want to hear mine first.
The Thing meets Parasite.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Mine, it takes a slightly different route. You must remember Barbie, of course. It was, I think it was voted best of 2020.
Couldn't forget.
3 or 4. Just it's late here. The Helen Mirren voice saying, "Note to filmmakers, Demi Moore is the wrong person to cast if you want to make this point." Because she's the whole point of the movie is about her like thinking how ugly and old she is, and I'm like,
and she's still good looking. Yeah, but the point is that's
awesome.
Not the point though. That I think that it is actually a good casting because it's your reflection on yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we look at her in that when we look at her in that scene where she freaks out and is like, you know, overthinking every little blemish. Like, that's the point. Like, you're overthinking everything you've done. Everyone does this to an extent.
Totally.
Like,
Totally. Speaking of, and being very sort of cynical about people's looks, I've got a couple of Goofy IMDb pictures for you this week. Do you want me to send them to you so you can have a look?
Sure.
I am really excited to talk to you about these Goofy IMDb pictures. For anyone who's new or we haven't done this for a little while, Goofy IMDb picture, it's not about saying people are ugly. It's not saying about making fun of people's... Well, it is making fun of people a little bit. But it's more about, like, this is your way to the public to meet you as an actor, as a person. Why is this your picture? So we've got two, and they're actually both in the stakeholder scene. So first and foremost, you'll see it is Jacques-Yves Dorges, if you can see that. That's...
What is
can you explain that?
In the movie? What does he do?
Yeah. It's the scene when all the stakeholders are getting together. You know, when she walks through and she's falling to pieces and the stakeholders
at the very end.
And they're all like, yeah.
Okay.
Can you explain that picture to our lovely listeners?
I mean, he's just like, it looks like he's excited about something, but in a really creepy way. I don't know what else to say.
He looks a bit like Wormtail in Harry Potter when he's excited.
That's a great analogy.
It's certainly an interesting picture.
I didn't know Margaret Qualley was in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was one of the like girls on the ranch. They've
very young
really
in that
themselves.
Film. Yeah. Oh my God. Everyone in that film's done well. Just one more then. This next one is Jean-Claude Mattei. And do you want to explain this one to our lovely listeners?
I think this is spot on. You know, with a name like Jean-Claude Mattei, this is exactly what I want to see from him. Can he do a silent film mime?
Yes,
impression?
he can.
And the answer is yes.
Well, our current MVP is
yes.
Dead Mechanic from Halloween. If you remember, it's effectively just a field, and then when you click in, you can see a dead guy on the right hand side.
Yeah. Man knew the assignment. All right.
Which one's goofier for you?
I think the first one, just because he's creepy enough. What was his name?
Are we gonna have a new MVP?
I think so.
Jacques Yves Dorges. I don't know if I said that right. Who knows? That's my attempt at French. Yes, we've got a new Goofy IMDb picture. I love that for us. It's been a while since we brought it back.
Has been.
So this is not a dull film.
No.
Let's put that out up top.
It could be described as dull.
There is not a lot dull about this film.
No, nothing. There's literally nothing dull about it.
Tell me what happens then. What's the basic plot of this? We can do full spoilers, right? We're just gonna go head first in.
Yeah, like I don't know, like a D celebrity or like C celebrity. What do you?
Yeah, D-list.
Like a C-list celebrity that might have once been maybe a tops B-, is now kind of fading in her career and becoming like more of a D, aging out.
Elizabeth Sparkle.
Out of her jazzercise kind of network television role. And as she's fading out and kind of is basically told, her life's work, she's done. Thank you very much. And here's a gift basket.
Goodbye.
She is mysteriously introduced after a car accident, which is kind of just like random. She's mysteriously introduced to by the nurse at that place to a kind of a miracle substance that can essentially self-replicate you into your younger self or a better version of yourself with some strings attached.
Could be better.
We follow that journey in descent into fucking gnarliness as that.
I mean, she's turning 50.
Yeah. The basic premise is like she has like a version of herself that's younger while she's older, and like you're supposed to balance. Yeah, you share time a week at a time each side, and you're supposed to balance. If you go beyond that, it takes a toll on one side or the other. And the whole warning on the label of the drug at the start is like, do not forget that you are one. And let's just say that great piece of wisdom
gets forgotten.
Isn't exactly followed.
I mean, look, it's a story about like the pressure of beauty standards, the lengths people will go to. You joked about Botox before to like maintain their youth in quotation marks, and obviously fame too. Yeah, like not a lot of lessons are learned in this film or stuck to.
I just think they didn't read the label very closely. Neither.
Yeah, maybe just give it a bit of a read.
Read the label. Like,
it's so funny when you were texting me about this while you were watching it. You said you had to watch it over a couple of sittings, but like
literally 3 different settings, and like with the volume down at points. Like I just couldn't.
Dude, this is a hard watch, man. I had a hard time with this.
It's 2.5 hours of it.
Yes. And I do think it's half an hour too long. I'm going to chuck that out there immediately.
I mean, yeah, dude. Yeah. It's just gnarly, man.
But not in the way, like, and like, so we'll talk about this, but like, I think that the whole ending piece for me goes way too far, and we'll probably get deeper into it. But I just think there's more interesting stuff that the overall story says that should have been focused on rather than going into this grotesque. Like, it's a psychological horror, right? And then it turns into like Cronenberg-ian body horror at one point. Like
at one point, like for
like
a third
towards
of
the
the
end.
movie, if not half.
Yeah, like half an hour at the end.
Nah, dude. I mean, I don't know what
I
Cronenberg-ian
suppose,
is.
yeah.
Like, but like, it's pretty grotesque for like at the halfway point consistently.
I suppose if you factor in all of the awesome makeup that's done to Demi Moore, yeah, you could probably go down that route.
I think there was just like additional subtler ways to build to that climax and have the climax be like smaller.
Totally.
Where like you could, like, there was so much more you could have done with like subtle character interactions, like putting satire on Hollywood and the and like the idea of like sacrificing your younger self for your older self, like for the future, and then having, you know, the Western way of like chasing that back when you're older. Like,
yes.
I think like there was one of the Tibetan, who's the guy, the Dalai Lama or something, said something like the West basically like they work as hard as they can to basically extend their life later instead of appreciating the life they have. Like, it was something, he said it much better than me, but that's what this film essentially alludes to in a lot of ways too.
Oh, totally. And I think going into this, I 100% agree with all that. I think going into this, I maybe had in my head that it might be a metaphorical thing. Like the substance, like I'd seen the trailers, right? The trailers give away a shit ton of this film. You get most of what's going to happen from the trailers. But kind of going in, I wondered if it was, you know, metaphorical or it was a psychological thing. Like, you took the substance and it didn't actually make you younger. It just made you think you were younger. So it gave you confidence. And like, you know what? Like, it's just straightforward. She just has a person break out of her back, doesn't she? Which is fucking weird.
It was tough.
No, but it's interesting. My partner had a couple of really cool ideas about this. You know, ideas around being like attached to your identity, you know, like, and purpose as well, like women's purpose, especially with in celebrity and with spotlight on her. Like, my partner brought up the point, you know, she doesn't have a family, so therefore she might feel she doesn't have a purpose and things like that, and that becomes accentuated as the film goes on, and you just feel the lack of, ironically, substance in her life. She doesn't have a lot to go back to, and she keeps going back to the substance. Yeah. Which is super interesting. And it's kind of an investigation of how society positions relevance as you get older.
Yeah. And well, like, also just like what you know, you got to have meaning outside of, you know, others. Right.
Totally.
Like, essentially.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have that, like, it's not a great place to be.
100%. And you mentioned you don't know Cronenberg before. David Cronenberg, amazing film creator. He's just
what does he do?
An awesome director, screenwriter. He created movies such as like The Fly, for example, which has Jeff Goldblum in it, which is like a classic body horror movie where he's gradually turning into a human fly hybrid thing. He really created like a feeling, like, you know, there's that the episode of Rick and Morty where it's like season 1, episode like 2, and Rick turns the whole. He gives Morty like a serum to make Jessica fall in love with him, and then he messes it up. And then he gives him another one, it messes up again. They all become those like weird googly monsters. The whole world becomes weird googly monsters.
Yeah,
that's
vaguely.
like classic Cronenberg-ian horror. Like, that is it really distilled as a. I mean, I'm really massively oversimplifying things, but like, I think that's what really worked for me in this. Like the clear homages to the body horror, like Cronenberg is. It's clearly one of her favorite directors. You could absolutely tell. The Fly is a huge influence right through this. And funnily enough, mentioning Jeff Goldblum, I think he would have been really good in this. I think he would have really fit this sort of like, you know, his weirdly wonderful, funny personality would have done really nicely in this odd sort of new, old, fake, real Hollywood thing that's happening, this aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah. He would have had, there's a place for him here. I just don't know if it's like redundant to what's his name's.
Yeah, fair.
Like, I think you could give him more, but also like
Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid. It's so abrasive. I'm also like, do you want more of him? Like, it's like,
true.
Yeah, I think he might have been in the movie the perfect amount, and there needed to be like other subtle ways of like exploring the themes with other characters that are totally, you know, have less of a role in it right now.
It's funny you mentioned Dennis Quaid. I think the most horrific scene in this whole film is not to do with body horror. It's when he's eating the fucking prawn. It's like,
yeah, it's so well done.
Oh my god!
And then it's like the writing there when it's like, and once you get to 50, once you get to 50, well, it ends. And she's like, she knows the answer to what he's saying, like, because she heard him in the bathroom.
She just won't give him it. Yeah.
No, and then she goes like, what ends? And he's like, and he realizes that he said something that he can't really say directly to her, and he just like carries on. Like, that was really good writing.
And he sees a mate in the background. Yeah, it's really good writing. It's actually incredibly well written, the film. I like what they did with it. But I'm going to go back to my point again. There are so many chances. So Elizabeth Sparkles is the original, and then she has this semi-Cronenberg-ian horror moment where her back splits open after she's taken the substance, and Sue pops out, and Sue starts draining the life out of her, which is brutal. And she starts getting all these like warning signs. Sue is going over her allotted 7 days. Like, her finger goes all disgusting. Anyway, there are so many warning signs, and it's just such an interesting point of view that she just refuses to stop. You know, she knows she's basically killing her.
Yeah, I was like struggling with for half the movie was like, do they each experience each other's time?
Yes. I was going to ask you that too.
I don't think so, because like
neither.
But also then part of me was like, man, wow, like, so really the only thing she's getting out of this is the idea that there's a beautiful version of her out there. Like, wow, that is really dark.
Isn't that
like,
horrific?
She's not
and
even
terrifying.
enjoying it. You know, like,
it's definitely not explicitly said. So I was like, the whole time I was hoping you'd have an answer. I was like, DL, tell me.
But I think that it like implies like just the whole motivation.
Yes, agreed.
Otherwise, she'd be like way less. The fact that they are one but not.
Yeah.
She'd clearly follow the rules more if they were the same person. That's my point.
I think that nails it on the head. Like, there's got to be, yes. Or if something was happening to Sue that was, you know, equally affecting her as much as, you know, that Elizabeth got affected by everything. So I don't think they are. But I think you're right when you're talking about the pacing of this. I do think there's half an hour too much, but not just. I don't think it needs anything removed. I just think they need to give more time to the idea of them coexisting together. I felt like they just rushed through the first week of having Sue there, and then she was all of a sudden sucking more life out of her. I was like, you should let it breathe for a while, you know, like give me more time with her resentment building.
Yeah. Also, I think like subtle interactions with other characters that highlight like, what each person represents. Like, to me, Sue, who's the new one,
yes,
the younger version, she represents like, you know, the vanity of like, you know, youth and like the vitality and vanity of youth. And then what, like, it's like the two psyches, like, whatever. Really? Yeah. What's her, Demi Moore represents, you know, like mental health. Like you have, as you lose one, you have to gain the other. You have to gain wisdom. You have to gain like the ability to,
there's no wisdom here.
No. You know, the ability to be like self-confidence that goes beyond vanity. And like, so when she doesn't have that, she's draining herself to get the other, and it's like there's no balance. I think there's something like of an investigation of like the id versus the, you know, the outer. I'm saying this horribly, but you get my point.
The ego.
Ego. I do think she represents mental health, like, and like, you know, being like self-confident in age, and like that's what that side represents. And the consequences of obviously not being that way.
100%. I mean, balance is one of the key themes of this film, and I don't think it's really impacted in any tangible way throughout. This is a beautifully shot film, though. Like, taking a step back and thinking about the cinematography of this, it's definitely got influences. And I was kind of watching it. I was like, there's a lot of clearly old movie lover style cinematography in this. So I was actually reading up on the director's, you know, her influences, and it's the likes of Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch, and you can genuinely really see that. Tell me about it, right? So like,
definitely see that.
Yeah, I mean, all of Kubrick's techniques using, you know, colors in scenes to evoke emotions, the sort of the surreal nature of the ending, the incredibly Lynchian, like, it's all baked in. And I wonder how she evolves her own directing style, because like this, I mean, it's nice to have a homage to your favorite directors, but like, you've got to evolve that and become your own thing. So it's she's got something.
I think she's got. Well, I looked it up. She's got this other movie in 2017 that's like quite not as well known, but like well rated for how small it is. Revenge, and it seems like something similar, like investigating, the female perspective on something. So she's got an angle she's going to.
Yeah, I mean, she does this awesome. There's this awesome juxtaposition in this film around that over romanticizing Hollywood almost. It's almost like an old Hollywood. It's got that vibe to it where it feels like you're watching an old picture. And at the same time, like the complete mistreatment of women and their self-respect and their, all the things we've just talked about, the balance of their lives and how she is treated, Elizabeth is treated at every moment in the film versus her counterpart, which kind of really screams out that dark underbelly, which is hinted at but never really shown.
I mean,
it's a lot. There's a lot to unpack.
You're not going to forget this movie, that's for sure, once you watch it. I don't know how to rate it, to be honest.
What was the thing that kept sucking you out of it? What made you be like, I'm done?
Handle, it was just too grotesque all the time. There was no breaks.
That's true. It was very, it was constant. It was definitely a lot.
Both like the score was like intense and what I was seeing was intense and the noises were intense. And like, I just never got a break. And frankly, that might be like the point. Like she's clearly she knew what she was doing in making this movie. And she's trying to, I think, say that's the female perspective. Like, this is the way I feel when men look at me, when I'm judged, like I feel like I never get a break. And so you're not getting one either. Cause I want to show you how that feels. That's
we're feminists, so we can say that.
I mean, like I'm just interpreting what she's throwing out there because
totally.
There's a way to make that say all the same points she made in a more consumable fashion. And it's not this. And it can still be grotesque.
Yeah. Well, it's Barbie, right? That's Barbie.
It's Barbie. Like there's an in between Barbie and this.
Sure.
Like you can still make a horror grotesque film and not have it be this over the top. And she clearly wanted it to be like by having it clock in at 2.5 hours, where the grotesqueness starts in like 45 minutes in, and does not really slow down.
Yeah.
She clearly wanted one of these.
Yeah.
You wanted that. So
completely agree with you. It's overwhelming. Let's say overwhelming.
It's not something I'll watch again.
Yeah. Not in a hurry.
I'll never watch it again. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the performance, and that's nothing, no shade on the performances or anything like that, because I genuinely think everyone in this is excellent. And like you say, the body horror, it is super grotesque, but I kind of liked what it was trying to say as well. Like, it wasn't body horror for the sake of body horror, except for maybe the last 20 minutes. But like the physical metamorphosis of, the Elizabeth character, when old Sheila Sue's literally sucking her lifeblood out, and she's just gradually becoming, well, it's not really gradual. She kind of has like a dodgy finger, and then she becomes an old withered hag, which is pretty quickly. Pretty quickly.
Just for one like long night out banging. Just have an afternoon delight, dude. Why you gotta go?
It's a couple of weeks. It's a couple of weeks at that point, Like it's like, come on, dude, give her a break. Like she needs some time. And I just think for me, it kind of falls down with that final metamorphosis. So like, I don't know if it's in the trailers. The kind of key point of this is that old Sheila Sue has gone too far, so she starts falling to pieces because she can't keep up with the part of the substance she needs to take from Elizabeth. So she takes the substance as the substance clone, and this weird it's in the film, it's got a name, it's Monstro Elisa Sue, whatever that means, bursts out of her, and it is this grotesque fucking like skin monster thing.
It's like the worst version of
kinda. Yeah, it's like a flip on it, really.
We're in the Snow Fortress level of versions of yourself, if we're using the Inception analogy. And it is grotesque as fuck, dude.
It's pretty bleak. I kind of was on board with it, and then the whole blood spraying thing, and
you're all culpable is the point of that.
Yeah, of course.
Pretty on
I get
those.
That.
Yeah.
I don't think, and as well, I don't think there's that much subtlety to this film, where I feel like there's an opportunity for significantly more in the playoff between the two key characters. I feel like if they'd have expanded on that a little bit earlier on, it just would have had more punch for me.
Yeah, I think like what drives the youth to make the choices they make, and the beautiful, like perfectly beautiful, aging gracefully women who choose to get, the lip job, the boob job, like what drives them, what little things, what subtle things through the week, through the day. Beyond, like the best scene was that one where she's looking in the mirror and she stands the guy up. Like that was the best scene in the movie, I think.
Yeah. 100%.
And so how do you replicate that in other interactions that are more grounded in reality that then lead to this like horrible demise on both sides? Like what are the things that like get this, like they did it well with the doorman, that like make this girl think that she's fucking queen of the world? Like that this nerdy guy can barely talk when he sees her, and it empowers her to feel like she can just do what she wants. Like do more.
You mean
of
the
that.
neighbor,
like,
the doorman?
Yeah, whatever. I think he was like the. What was he? Was he like the? But he was like
a neighbor across the hall.
Lieutenant though, because he was coming for rent or something. He was like the.
No, he was coming because she was loud music or some shit, and then like she steps at the door.
I thought it was like, hey, you owe me rent, and then he's like, actually, I don't care anymore.
Nah. He just lived across the hallway.
Okay. So yeah, I think that those two moments, like if there were one more or two more each, and they get worse and worse, then it just felt like it went from 0 to 100.
Definitely 100%. And you're right, there's a lot of subtlety that was missed there. I actually forgot all about that character. She stands up on the date. I feel like that
was one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, agreed. And it's really poignant, and it's a beautiful moment because she feels like she isn't good enough for this person, like who is, I don't know, just a dude from high school who she met previously,
who clearly would be enamored, and like that's the disconnect. Like,
yeah, was like not on her level in many ways, and it's just that's more interesting to me than where this actually went.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you think of the ending? Like the whole blood spraying everywhere.
I think the ending, like I think that whole part is like, I don't mind what they like, the structure and like the idea that there's like another weird monstrosity. Like it just needed to be. By the time it got to that, I was so over the grotesqueness because it had like, I think I was just over it. So like,
agreed.
I didn't enjoy it, but not because it didn't need to be there. It could be there. It's just it needed less on the build up for me to give a fuck, really. Like,
is there something in there about generational addiction as well? Like I feel like the younger version. So Elizabeth is clearly addicted to the substance. That's like, I feel like that's a key part of this. She can't give it up. She refuses to give it up. And then, her younger self sees an opportunity and takes it too. I feel like that's just baked in there in like a tiny little way. And that's barely touched on either.
Gen Z doesn't drink at all, apparently.
Yeah. Too expensive.
Dude, did you see that? This, as an aside, I saw some meme that was like, each generation by level of alcohol sales for the year, and it was like boomers 11 billion something, Gen X 11 billion, millennials 11 billion, Gen Z 2 billion.
Whoa,
bad time to be Diageo in an alcohol company.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I
wonder why that is.
They have to pivot quickly.
I mean, everything needs to be cheaper. That's the problem at the moment. I
don't even know if it's just the price, because like I think they're doing different stuff like THC gummies and things like that.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could have given some of them to Elizabeth. She might have opened her mind a little bit and thought more about that guy she went on a date with. That would have been nice for her. Yeah. You got anything else to say about this movie?
No, just that there are good, like we've been bashing on the subtlety of it, but there are good moments. They're just kind of lost.
Definitely, 100%.
They're lost in the grotesqueness. Like when she is going to go pick up the substance the first time, she has her hand all weird and she hides it. She runs into the guy that was in the motorcycle guy that was like hooking up with her that caused the hand thing, and he just like treats her so phenomenally differently than he treated the younger version of herself.
Yeah, definitely.
And so like I love those moments. I think that like those were the drivers of the film.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying before about them not sharing with consciousness, that kind of made me feel like maybe they did in some ways. That scene where she clearly
just saw the helmet.
Yeah, right. Okay, she just
she
interesting. She took offense to it. Yeah, interesting. And I mean, it was. It's a real sucky way to treat her, and there was absolutely no need. So definitely, there are more subtle ways to do. Sorry, there are some great subtle moments in this film. Are definitely overshadowed by some of the horror bits. Yeah, sure. Any tones and themes outside of what we talked about?
I think we covered them. It's just like the identity, like the concept of like youth, sacrificing and celebrating the sacrifice of you living without balance in your youth at the cost of, a meaningful, and healthy existence later on. And then the other one of just like the aging gracefully and like, how do you maintain your mental health as you lose, what is clearly physical beauty over time? How do you what gives you meaning and what is more lasting? And it's quite clearly not.
Am I stretching here thinking there might be a sort of an angle in this where you could look at it and say it's potentially what someone who does not want children might feel like children is like? Sapping all of her, remaining age and beauty and the time she has and, giving up all of her energy to maintain this youthful person. Is that stretching a bit?
What do you mean? Like, what's the point on children? Sorry.
As in, if you were to look at it from the angle of someone who was anti-children, someone who was like, does not want children and is completely negative about it. Maybe not. Maybe that's just something I've, maybe that's something I've thought about too much. Do you have
I think if anything, it's investigating, like, if you don't have children, because she doesn't, it can't be because you want to, like, it can't be because of the vanity of it all. Like, you have to find meaning elsewhere.
Sure. It's definitely a big thing.
There's somebody that didn't have children and, like, because she didn't have meaning outside of her vanity.
Yeah.
Descended into this gnarly place.
Yeah, like that. Let's do some 3 best and 3 worst then. What are your 3 best on this film?
3 best would be, I think that scene where that I talked about earlier, where she's like looking in the mirror. That performance was awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, like, the best and the worst is how like grotesque this film is. Like, obviously, there's some really cool prosthetics, but like, it's just like hard. It's over the top, like the stabbing into the spine. Like,
definitely.
I just couldn't by the end. Like, so I'm gonna put that in both, and then I mean, Dennis Quaid was like perfectly.
I got him on mine.
Perfectly terrible. Like,
I got a good bit of trivia about him actually coming up for you in a moment.
Okay, sweet. How about you?
He was fabulous. I really liked him in this. Cinematography, we talked about it before. It's got like an old yet modern feel to it. It's really very cool. And I think the soundtrack was low-key fabulous. You mentioned it. You called it out. Like, it gives the film this intensity that obviously is there in what's happening, but really nails the point home of it. Got any other worsts?
Any other worst? I guess, like, I didn't actually. There's not a lot I didn't love about, like, other than the grotesque. Like, that was the main thing. Everything else, it was a good movie. It's like a really cool concept, a way to investigate it. Like, stylistically, it's kind of cool. Like, you get the grittiness of LA. I loved some of those shots with the Hollywood star, like the beginning shot in the end. Like, that was a nice little bow. So no, I think just a little bit more of those, like, subtle. Honestly, the more I think about it, they had quite a few subtle interactions. Maybe one more each, and then just less of the grotesqueness. Like, I just think you needed that. It overstimulated it.
I think my worst is exactly what you're trying to say there. It's a lack of the exploration of some of those subtle moments. I think if they really nailed them and like dived deeper into them, it would have been so cool, man. It would have been so, like, this could have been so much more in my eyes. But I feel like this director had a vision and really stuck to it. I did have the ending, the blood splattering part. I was like, God, it just went that one step too far for me. I didn't need
too
that.
On the nose.
Yeah, way too on the nose. Let's do this then. Can you guess for me what the current IMDb score is for this?
Probably like, I don't know, 7.9.
Ooh, it's a 7.3. I thought you might have it there. Yeah. You looked like you had it. You had the look of a man who knows what he's talking about. I should have known.
Something this gnarly, like, is not going to appease everyone.
Okay, well, what do you reckon the Rotten Tomatoes score is?
Those are always higher. 82.
It's 89. So it's clearly appeasing a lot of people.
There.
Yeah, you did. You did good. I like what you're doing here. Can you guess me the Letterboxd score, which is all users, and it's always 3.6, but it's never 3.6.
3.8.
It is 3.8. You got it. I feel like that's. I feel like it's about right for this film for me.
Yeah, same.
If we did those types of measurements, DL, which we don't, we use our measuring system, which is simply, is this better or worse than the most average movie we know right now, which is Aquaman 2018, and why? DL.
I can't even remember the plot of Aquaman. I will remember.
And nor should you.
Yeah, so it's better.
See it into your brain.
Yeah. Better.
I think the highs of this, are significantly higher than Aquaman. And I don't feel like the lows were particularly bad. So yeah, it's better. It's a very good film. I really enjoyed it. Should we finish it with a bit of trivia, true or false, yeah?
Yeah. Talk to me.
Trivia, true, trivia, false, DL. Margaret, what's her last name? Qualley? I'm going to say Qualley. Margaret Qualley revealed in interviews that the breasts in the movie were not her own. Is that true or is that false?
They did look a little weird. True.
They are prosthetics designed by a French makeup artist, Pierre-Olivier Persin. So yeah, that is true. It's interesting.
They looked like not weird. They did look a little fake. And I was like, maybe she has fake boobs, but yeah.
Well, I mean, there's the scenes where Demi Moore's completely naked, and apparently she was really self-conscious on stage. So that's, of course she was. But yeah, it's interesting that they went that route with it. So good for her. Trivia, true, trivia, false, DL. Coincidentally, Qualley's mother, who is Andie MacDowell, co-starred 40 years ago with Demi Moore on St. Elmo's Fire. Is that true or is that false?
True.
Is true. The 1985 movie was a career-making film for both of the actresses. By the way, this is all IMDb trivia, so who knows if it's real. It probably
Didn't Ashton
nonsense.
Kutcher date Demi Moore for a while?
I thought he did.
It's so random now that you think about it.
And now he's in the Diddy Files. Who would have guessed?
Is he actually? Well, he moved to Europe to flee, didn't he?
He's moved to Europe, so yeah, he's probably in there somewhere. You'd assume so. Just saying. Trivia, true, trivia, false, DL. Dennis Quaid, as Harvey, was hastily recast after Alec Baldwin pulled out of the role due to the controversies surrounding the Rust movie. Is that true or is that false?
I could see him in... I think you're just tricking me, but I'm going to do it just because I could see him in the Dennis Quaid role. So true.
It's actually false. I did trick you. It was Ray Liotta who was supposed to be that character, but he obviously passed away, R.I.P., just before filming started, so could not do that. I could definitely see Ray Liotta in that role. Like, he is spot on for that. Okay, final one then. Trivia, trivia, false, DL. All the body parts that fall off Sue as she's falling to pieces are the same parts that fall off Seth Bundle in the 1986 movie The Fly. Is that true or is that false?
I mean, like, doesn't everything fall off? So true.
Well,
minus
it's
the
tooth, the fingernail, and the ear. So yes, they do mirror the things you see fall off.
What about the boob? There's
Brundle
the boob,
in that film.
The boob just like at the end.
Does the boob fall off?
At the very end, it just like burps out a boob. It was disgusting.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, the bit that got me was when she was doing the dance, and then she ended up pulling like a chicken wing out of her stomach. I was like, whoa, what the fuck is happening,
dude?
This is disgusting. It was too much. Ultimately, man, this is a good I see why this is getting Oscar noms left, right, and center. This is a good film. It's hard to get through. I will absolutely give you that, but I had a good time with it. Thought it was a good film.
Yeah, it was good. I don't know if I could recommend it to everyone because not everyone will like it. But if you, after hearing us talk about this, if this entices you enough, then I think that tells you what you need to know. And if you're disgusted, you will be disgusted.
I would say don't listen to us. Go in this as blind as possible, just knowing that it is going to be grotesque, and just deal with it. Just deal with it.
Good luck.
You'll be fine. Yeah. God save the Queen. DL, do you want to wrap up the show?
I of course do. Please do check us out on the Podcast Assemble on Instagram or what am I saying? Podcast Assemble on Instagram or the podcast, or hit us up at thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Give us a review if you could. We'd
give us 5 stars. We'd love it if you would.
A big thank you to Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode. If you'd like to have Matt as a part of your team, podcast squad.
You should.
Pod squad, as we say.
Pod squad.
Get in touch on business at mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com to find out a little bit more about what he does. If you want to hear his work, listen to Coffee with a Podcaster. You can hear about, the inner workings of
podcasting things.
Well, you have a cup of coffee. I need another cup of coffee.
You do.
Really exhausted.
It's 10 o'clock here. I need to go to bed.
Yeah, don't do that. I don't have tea now.
Don't do coffee.
Yeah, that's about it. And
thank you for sticking with it, guys. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, come back.
Do we finish with Tally Ho? Is that how we finish? It's been a while.
I think we do that, yeah.
Later, skaters.